Tara Nelson of MTN Matchmaking with the very handsome, intelligent, suave, cool, funny Dr. Dave.
I thought it was just me. I thought you were actually using somebody else.
I just love when you do Friday Facebook Live. I love it.
It is one of our favorite things to do.
Yes. It's way too boring when I do it myself. So now you're wearing a very nice sweater. What are you on, Buffalo?
I'm in Buffalo, New York today. It is raining and the temperature is a brisk 39 degrees.
Whoa.
Time of the season.
Did you ever think of being a snowbird in Florida?
I've thought about it. You know, I certainly will visit Florida. But I have 4 children all here. Actually, my daughter's in Rochester, and now I have 4 grandchildren. So, you know, I did with what I could when I was a medical oncologist and busy and all that kind of thing. So there was times where I missed things. I actually missed the pictures for my daughter's prom. I did get to see her off, but
typical example of you being too hard on yourself. Instead of talking about a million great things that you've done, for some reason you found one thing that someone probably said to you, oh, and by the way, you missed photos for that. And that's what you concentrate on.
Yeah, no, but I think it's gone too far the other way. I think people should be hard on themselves. I think
yes, more people should be hard on yourselves. Absolutely, perfect. Well said.
There's so many people in the world who think they've earned. You know, I hearken back to T-ball, where everybody got a trophy and everybody got a hit and this, that, and the other thing. And that's fine. But at some point in time, it's based on merit and hard work, you know? And yes. I think there's a lot of very creative, very wonderful people in the world. And then there's a lot of people who say, you know, I could have been Bill Gates, you know? Right. And the truth of the matter is,
I could have been an oncologist.
Yeah, you could have been me. The truth is, if you could have been me, you would have been me. So stop talking.
Exactly.
Anyway,
yep. So what I'm doing now, I'm trying to see if I did it correctly and if we're on public, which hopefully we are.
Because if we're not, I'm screwed. I just gave you all the best I had.
And one time I did it, and it was only us that saw us. So let me just see if I could even.
Actually, if it was just us seeing us, that wouldn't really break my heart.
Well, we have a couple of racy questions, I think, today.
Okay.
Well, not really racy, but one of the questions that I looked over, and I'm not used to having to see the questions ahead of time, but I have to do that today. So I looked at them naturally, and one of them is really funny. It's someone wrote in asking each of us what's the craziest story I had as a matchmaker, and what's the craziest story you had before you retired as a physician. So, you want me to go first?
No, I think you should go first. Okay. Then I know how to measure my stories.
Okay. So, craziest story was I was interviewing a man, an older gentleman, and I was new. to owning my business. So this was 20 years ago when I was young and a spring chicken and not as strong as I am now. Now if it happened, it would, I would handle it completely differently. But then it was crazy. So the man, I picked up that he was strange, but sometimes people are just nervous. So, I always have to gauge, could this be nerves or is this person really strange or whatever? So he asked if he could use the restroom. So I said, of course. And I said, you make a right and then a left. Okay. So I'm waiting and I'm like, that's taking a very long time. So I go over and I see a crowd of people and the person that was the manager of the office building at that point. And I thought, oh my goodness. At first I'm thinking, oh, I hope this doesn't interrupt my interviewing with him. Never thinking that he's the cause of it. But a woman was there and he right away came over and said, oh, I'm so sorry. It's a misunderstanding. And she starts screaming at him, telling me that she was in the ladies' room and he was in the ladies' room and peeked over at her in the stall. So that's what the ruckus was. And that's why everyone was there. And he said to me, it's all a misunderstanding. I didn't know which bathroom it was. I got confused. I thought I was in the men's room. And then I thought I heard a female voice. So I only looked over to see why there's a female voice. So, this was 20 years ago. I just remember I took about 30 seconds to play in my mind, could this possibly be true or not? Whereas now I'd be like, get the blank out. Okay. 20 years ago, I'm like, I'm sorry. You got to go. Done. But
He violated the 3-second rule. If he heard a woman in the next stall, the first 3 things he should think of is, did I hear what I just heard? Is there a woman in there? And the most important thing is to look down till you see the feet. If they have high heels on, you need to get the hell out of that bathroom as quickly as possible.
Yes. Okay, so now it's your turn. You have to see the craziest story.
I've got, but having practiced for 39 years, I've got a lot of, obviously terrible stories because I'm a retired medical oncologist, people who die in my profession. But I have a lot of great, really faith assuring stories. And the one story I'll tell you, and there's always a bunch I can, as Maureen will tell you, I can talk to dead people.
And this is the craziest though, right? You're on topic as far as the craziest story. Or does that change the dynamics?
Yeah, I'm going to give you this story anyway. It might restore faith.
Okay, we will let you know after.
Okay, it might restore faith in human beings. There was this patient of mine. Her name was Jane. I'm not going to give you her last name. And she was a sweet, kind lady. What? No, you might know her. And she was a sweet, kind lady. And she had colorectal cancer, and it had spread to her liver. And I was treating her, and she went through a number of different regimens, and her insurance, just as an aside, her insurance was terrible, and she was amassing a lot of copay bills and this and that. Wow. And I was still treating her. And, my CEO came to me and said, we have to draw a line somewhere. she's a couple $100,000 owing to us. And I said, well, we'll call the drug companies and we'll get some money back and I'll eat the rest. And in that afternoon, I get a call, and my secretary comes running back all excited. And I'm like, what? She goes, you have to take this call. And I'm like, I'm busy. She goes, no, you have to take this call. And I said, okay. So I take the call, and she said, hold on, and she gets the call, and I pick up the phone. I said, hi, and this gentleman on the other side says, is this Dr. Doherty? And I said, yes. And he said, hi, this is Eric Lindros. And for those of you who don't follow hockey, he is a hockey star for the Philadelphia Flyers. He said, I understand that you're taking
call
care
and saying that for some
What?
of the ladies watching.
Yeah, okay. Just in case, I do also state the incredibly obvious. He said to me, I understand you're treating, Jane. And I was like, yes. And he said, I understand that she has a very large bill. And he said, yes. And he says, well, I would like to take care of the bill.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was very moved by that. And he said, here's my information. Here's my information. Just, da, 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 da. So I hang up, and literally a half an hour later, I get another phone call, and my secretary runs back again. I'm like, this is getting ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, no, you have to take this. I'm like, unless it's the president, don't bother me again. But so I pick up the phone, and it's a gentleman named Raymond Bork, who was also a, legendary hockey player. He played in Boston, and he played for Colorado. And he calls me and he says, I understand you spoke to Eric Lindros this morning. And I said, yes, I did. And he goes, well, I talked to Eric, and I told him that I'm older than he is, so I'll pay the bill. So
wow. I'm getting Botox on Thursday. Do you think that you can give them a call and maybe they might want to?
You misunderstand. I didn't want any of their numbers. They called me. So and then the real funny part, which shocked me, is the next morning I get into the office, and I'm I've got a pile of paperwork, and I'm doing my paperwork, and my secretary comes back, and I'm like, listen, I'm getting a little tired of this. She goes, no, you have to take this phone call. And I said, is my family? And he goes, no, you have to take this phone call. So I pick up, and this lady was on the phone, and I said, hello. And she said, hold on for Mr. Orr. So I went, okay. And then picked up the phone. He said, is this Dr. Doherty? And I was like, yes. And he goes, this is Bobby Orr. I understand that you're taking care of Jane. I was like, yes, I'm taking care of Jane. He said, I understand that she's run up a very substantial bill. And I said, yes. And he said, I've spoken to Ray Bork, and I've spoken to Eric Lindros, and the Bobby Orr Foundation will pick up all of her medical expenses from here all the way through. So the moral of the story is really, no matter how great you think you are, we're all part of we're all part of a tribe together, and we all take care of each other.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking about medicine. I'm talking about the whole world.
Yeah.
We need to get back to those fundamentals. So
I agree. Yeah.
And I won't tell any more stories today because
that was a good one.
After 39 years, I got a few of them.
Okay. So one person puts an easy question in.
Okay.
Who does MTN matchmaking target? And the reason, normally I would not even answer a question like this, but I think it's important, especially now, because a lot of people, singles, are under the impression that I pay a matchmaker, it should work. Whereas the fact is, there's no guarantees in matchmaking. And any legitimate matchmaker should never say, I can guarantee this. And any legitimate one would never guarantee that.
Yeah.
But there is going around now the mindset of, I paid a matchmaker and it didn't work, therefore it's the matchmaker's fault. So I'm speaking for all the matchmakers that are, especially certified matchmakers like myself throughout the country, that it doesn't work that way. We can do what we do, which is really about 50%. The other 50% lies on the client. So I think it's important to mention that we do target a certain type of single person because the internet, there's no screening process. So anyone and everyone can go on internet dating sites and should. Okay. Everyone should at least try it for 6 months. And if you realize, wait a minute, I'm not meeting the quality I'm looking for, I'm not meeting people financially stable enough, or I want a committed relationship, no one's looking for a committed relationship here, etc.
Mhm.
Those people then should call us. Okay, because we target specifically singles who do not have a felony record, so everyone is safe
Mhm.
to the extent that I can do what I do. Again, I did have a woman sue me once for something that a man who was a policeman and has a permit to carry did 25 years ago as a white collar crime, but yet they've made him a policeman after that. So, and her case was felony check. That what this isn't valid. Well, it is valid. We're not promising anything other than I'm doing a criminal felony background check and no one has hurt women or children. Okay. So we're targeting singles that no criminal record, no felony record, I'm sorry, who are positive. That's huge, 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 because many singles are not positive. They're so negative that it makes me uncomfortable to even look at some of the Facebook posts of singles groups that are out there and hearing what people say. It's like, how do you live in a world of negativity? How do you wake up every morning? I couldn't if I lived like that. But anyway, so everyone's positive. Everyone's emotionally stable so they know what they want. Everyone's financially stable. And they want other people to be financially stable too. Then the most important thing I think is everyone wants a committed relationship.
Mhm.
So having said that, we also, and this is an unspoken thing because it's too subjective, is I like to say we cater the top 20% of singles on Long Island. It's subjective. So we want everyone to be confident. So our clients, they know they're beautiful, but both inside and out. Not, pretty, but on the inside, ugly. I know guys do not want that. We don't have that. So that's who we target. That if someone thinks, yeah, I consider myself in the top 20% of the best, again, subjective. That's who we have. Now, for the internet, everyone, I believe, if you don't fall into this category, you should be on internet dating sites. And it's a wonderful forum, but keep yourself safe. That's what you should do. So, what are your thoughts? That was my answer, and your thoughts.
Well, I think, it's interesting. If you really stand back and say, how good are we at picking partners and
Mhm.
okay, so how many times do people go to the car dealership, for instance, right? They go to the car dealership, for instance, and they want this and this. The car dealership, he said, well, I have 6 kids, but I want a Porsche that's a 2-seater. I mean, you have to sort of take.
Well, every man with a midlife crisis, they do that. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
that was a joke.
No. Well, I mean, again, doing what I did, people would come in, with a whole list of things and say, well, I know that I have this cancer and I want these drugs and I want to give it at this rate and I want to give it at this. And the fact of the matter is we always need help, I mean, it just everybody.